Okay. Hi there. My name is Angela Carpenter, and I am a creative branding expert. My client here, Giorgio's Pizzeria and Pub in South Barrington, was kind of looking to utilize their private dining room to kind of have more events, to get them more attention to the community, and just get more people into the restaurant when things are kind of quieter, especially during the summer season. So I met Julia recently at an awesome networking event in Chicago, and I just was blown away by her. She totally captivated the room. She really inspired everybody. And so I, of course, ran after her and said, hey, I've got to get your business card. We have to stay connected. We have to come do an event for a client of mine at Giorgio's and like a lunch and learn. And so anyway, we started talking. We had this great event today. Everybody was, you know, super excited about Julia and all of the amazing things that she can help do to really kind of grow people, not just in their business, but also as people, and make them better sellers, and so that they're able to close more business and just become overall more successful. So anyway, after her wonderful presentation, we had this lovely woman kind of stick around after. She wanted to chat about some additional coaching and just kind of pick your brain more, obviously wanting to get more of your services for free. But I just thought that would be great, and maybe we should kind of catch some of that on camera.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you so much, by the way, for having me here at Giorgio's. This is a great venue here in Barrington. So for people who are doing events, this is really lovely. It's a private room, nice and quiet. Excellent place to have a workshop and training like we've done today. And so you want to call Giorgio's for your events in the Barrington area. And yes, as when we finished, somebody wanted to talk a little bit more. And we ended up having, she and I, a sales conversation. And what I want to share with you is how that sales conversation went, so that you can understand the anatomy of an effective sales conversation. And I want to say right off the bat that this woman walked away without having signed on the dotted line, so to speak. However, she did make a promise that she was going to get back to me by 4 o'clock today with her answer about whether she's going to buy or not. So just to put that out there, so we're going to be talking about this sales conversation in that light. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that happened is that she was asking a lot of questions during the presentation, and I didn't get a chance to answer them all, so that was sort of what sparked our conversation afterwards. So that was the initiation of it. She had questions, she was interested, and that's one of the keys. Anytime you get into a selling situation, ideally, you want for your customer to be interested in what you have to say. Right. You want them to be curious. You want them knowing more. Because then they're a dry sponge, so to speak. Right. If alternatively, like if you're out, generating cold leads or whatnot, you can't just start talking at somebody when they're not actively interested in what you have to say. That's a really key point.
And if I can interrupt,
yeah.
I loved her question, and I think the whole room really enjoyed the question as well, to the point where they all were excited to stay after, because you had said, well, stay after and we'll talk. I have a few more things to get through, and everybody stayed after, so it's pretty cool.
Yes, exactly. And so she was highly receptive, and so that's what initiated a conversation. So it was already fertile ground to be having a sales conversation in the first place, and that's a key element. And then as we were talking, I was asking her a lot of questions, and the key thing that I was looking to find out is, number one, does she have a problem that I can solve? And number two, how motivated is she to solve this problem? And so I asked her a lot of questions along these lines, and what we essentially came down to, I ended up asking her, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with where you're at, without going into all the details of her particular situation? And she said, I'm actually an 8. And I knew right there, this is not a sale that's very likely to happen. And the reason is, if somebody is going to buy something from you, they have to be in a state where they're in pain. They have to be in a situation where they want to make a change. Otherwise, if they're not in pain, if they're not eager to make a change, they are not going to invest their time, their money, and their energy in whatever it is that you have to sell. So as soon as she told me that her current situation, she's an 8 on the satisfaction scale, I was like, this is not likely going to happen. Right. So what I did in that situation is I said that to her. I said, what I hear you telling me is that you are actually pretty satisfied with your current situation. Yes, you're open to some change, but let's look at it as a blessing. You're not unhappy. That's a great thing. You should feel lucky and blessed. You're not unhappy. And what that means is that you're not highly motivated to make a change. And because of that, I get it that you are not extremely likely to say, and as a matter of fact, even before we got into that, or in between those two, what I said to her is, I asked her a very hard closing question. And I said to her, I'm going to ask you to make a decision right now. And I would like you to decide whether or not you think I can support you in what you'd like going forward. Mm-hmm. And she said, and first of all, she hesitated. And when anybody hesitates, that's a no. But she said, yes, I think you can help me. And then she inserted some additional words. And she said, but I just don't know if this is where I want to spend my money right now. And I said, because she is actually a professional salesperson, that her business is very reliant on her selling a lot. What I said to her is, well, what you know as a professional salesperson is that when somebody says to you, yes, I want more of your services, and money is the objection, that's not the real objection. Money is never the real objection. All that they're saying to you when they say, I love your service, but I'm not sure that I want to spend the money, is, I love your service, but I don't think I really need it. Mm-hmm. And I said that to her, flat out. I said, that's what I hear you saying to me. And then I followed that up with, and the reason is that you do not feel highly motivated to take advantage of my services is because you're pretty happy. You're not very unsatisfied.
She did seem to agree with you that she didn't hate her job. She didn't love it. She was somewhere right in between.
That's right. That's right. And so what I did is and then she continued to keep talking, mm-hmm. because it was very clear that in a lot of cases, somebody who is in this situation, they want to have somebody to talk to, or they're just a very social person, whatnot. And while on the one hand, you want to be kind and you want to be friendly, you know, I'm not here to give free coaching for 45 minutes, right? And nor should you be, if willing to. And a lot of people make that mistake as well, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know how to end the conversation. And so they end up just talking, and talk themselves right out of a sale, or the sale wasn't going to happen 25 minutes ago, but they continued talking and just spent 25 minutes at a time, and now they feel frustrated and they're investing too much time and all kinds of things are bad, right?
Right.
So I knew at this point, sales not going to happen, so we're going to end the conversation. So what I did was I stood up, very clear, universal signal, mm-hmm. Conversation's over, and I smiled, and I said, it looks to me like they're trying to get us out of here. Again, a great way to gently nudge the conversation to an ending is to blame it on somebody else.
I like it.
You know, say they are trying to get us out of here, i.e. we have to go, i.e. we're going to stop talking now. And what I also did in that combination, and all of that stuff happened, it's taken me 3 minutes to describe it, but it happened in about 18 seconds. Mm-hmm. And that combination of me saying, I can hear that you are, you're not eager for what I have to sell, and the reason for that is because you're pretty happy, and so no problem, we can even still be friends, it's okay, I'm not offended that you don't, want to take advantage of my stuff right now, and we're going to end this conversation right now, and I started to walk away from her. That whole package of stuff is also what's called a takeaway close, because you've now said, no problem, you don't want it, I'll take it back with me then. Very powerful psychological trigger. And sure enough, she physically walked towards me and said, oh, but wait, but tell me about this other part of the package here. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
She didn't want to let you go that fast.
Yeah. That's right. That almost always happens when you do the takeaway close, right?
Yeah.
And so the person, what she said was, just describe to me this other part. And actually, my offer was in 2 parts. And so what she asked me was, can I take just this part, the cheaper part, and make a decision later about possibly buying the other part? Mm-hmm. And I essentially hesitated. I didn't give her a yes, I didn't give her a no, I just tried to hem and haw a little bit. I.e., I let her sit in her own discomfort. She basically asked me a closing question. She was trying to close me now, right? She's trying to get me to offer her a downsell. And so I didn't answer. I let her sit in discomfort, and she ended up backing herself up and closing herself. And she ended up saying to me, you know what, don't worry about it. That's fine. I'm going to think about this, and I will call you today by 4 o'clock and let you know my decision.
Yeah, she was very specific about the fact that she follows through, and then either way, you're going to hear from her, and she's not just saying that.
Right. So the big takeaways from this video, from this analysis, from this little case study are the following. Number one, you have to have a receptive vehicle or receptive vessel in order to begin a sales conversation. They have to be interested in what you want to say. Number two, the key thing in any selling situation is to ask questions. And what you are looking for in those questions is the extent to which you can help this person and the extent to which they want your help. Then the third big takeaway is, once you have asked your closing questions, if they have given you anything except a definite yes, back off. Be unattached. Be willing to let go of the sale. This is where so many business owners and less experienced salespeople end up feeling like they're terrible at sales, they're wasting a lot of their time, they end up feeling resentful because they are unwilling to hear no. Or they hear a maybe or a well, and they want that to be yes. Yes is yes. Anything, and I'll just interject very quickly. I had another selling conversation a couple weeks ago, and I asked the woman, as we were coming to the closing part, I said to her, on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in working with me? And she said, I'm definitely a 10. Great. That's what we want. That is a yes. If she said, well, I would say I'm a 7 or an 8, that's a no. If it's not yes, it's no. And if she had said it's a 7 or 8, I would have done the same takeaway close and probably would have triggered the same results as we did today, right? So that was your next big takeaway. And then your final takeaway is the idea of a takeaway sale and how powerful it is if they have given you a maybe for you to turn it into a, well, now I'm not offering it anymore, for them to come running back after you.
And do you give it back the full amount, or are you kind of like giving it back slowly? Like, are you sure? Or, you know, do you go back into it as cleanly as you did at the beginning?
It depends on how they come running after you.
Okay.
If they come running back after you with more hesitancy, then you kind of continue to be back off, right? If they come back after you like, wait, no, I didn't say no. Sit back down. We want to keep talking about this. Okay, great. Now we're back into, you know, the serious closing table where I'm getting ready to hand them the contract and the pen to sign. You get it? So, with that, I hope this has been helpful.
Yes, absolutely. It's awesome.
I hope you've learned something about this, and thank you again so much for inviting me to Giorgio's.
We're so happy that you were here.
Great.
We'll have to have you back soon. Thanks,
Got
guys.
it. And before we go, the last thing that I'd like to share with you is that if you enjoyed this video, if you got some tasty nuggets out of this, I invite you to jump on the free sales webinar that I am conducting next week called How to Get More Clients and Leads. And I'm doing that on Thursday, June 12th and Friday, June 13th. And both of those will be live broadcasts, so you need to jump on that live. And if you'd like to register for that, go to the website that you'll see down below, which is intuitivebusinesswoman.com/secret. That's again, intuitivebusinesswoman.com/secret to register for that free webinar and get a whole lot more of these juicy tidbits. Thanks very much, everybody.